Good morning. My name is John Lashmodier. I'm the chair of the Provincial Meetis Council meeting today. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I just want to acknowledge being here at Whitecap Dakota First Nation and the homeland of the Métis, and looking forward to a day where we're going to be welcoming folks into the governance of our nation and taking care of some important business. And in order to start in a good way, I'd like to pass it over to La Vieux Monde, our elders there. We might have a fire alarm issue in the meantime, but this is the second fire alarm that's gone off in the last 15 minutes, and it was handled very shortly. So we will maybe get someone to close that door. There we go. And we'll continue on until we're told we gotta go. So, Elder Norman.
Good morning. If we want to stand, please. And if you can't stand, sit down. But don't lay down. Bomatenga kiokio Mioiten Anosha Taxipayak. Mantua Chikitotayak Kanos Amate Chui Homayak. We told Spamintoyak. Mamotos keak, gatswani keak, tanaki utagayak nos. Mokun jau tega kape ni poyak. Kistige goyuma meetings, these assembly mamopia keak, mantu skeitam. Dan seis eispaik, dan seis epak. Kikakwechmanan metone shokap soyak. Egan pakan sige goy chanaga tastemak. Tuichi goyak mantu. God our Creator, we come before you today in prayer as we, the Métis Nation, Louis Riel and our ancestors, which have come together with respect and humility since our creation by your power and love. We thank you in a very special way for helping us uphold our pride in our culture, and especially our special and beautiful language, Michif, and other languages that we speak as Métis people. God our Creator, we the Métis, your special people, come before you today with special purpose and celebration and intention. God our Creator, remember our forefathers, our Métis veterans, for their sacrifices and bravery at all costs. God our Creator, we give thanks especially today as we honor our Métis veterans and those that have fought for us in previous times, and our young people today that are in military and those that are wearing the uniforms that are to protect us as a people and as a nation. And always in our hearts for those that fought bravely to serve their country so we may have freedom to preserve our culture as Métis and proud Canadians. God our Creator, we give thanks to Louis Riel and the Métis soldiers who fought to protect our rights and nationhood. Let us not forget our ancestors who gave whatever they had to protect and promote us as a nation, our distinction, and especially our beautiful language, Michif. And let us not forget those that are less fortunate than we are, those that are now on the streets, those that are homeless, those that are in prison, those that are taken away from their homes. Let us think about those people as we stand here. And our responsibilities is to protect our homes and our families and our nation. We pray for especially those beautiful people that gave their lives and lived over 100 years old, like Margaret McCullum. And she left us, and with her culture, made her last moccasins and beading at over 100 years old to promote and protect her culture in her community of Isla Cross. And also Margaret Morin, who left us And we also must not forget those others that you have lost, your loved ones. And we pray for you. So your hearts may be open for new life and change and understanding. So we as a people, don't forget where we come from. Let us stand together. Let's walk together. Let's set things aside that may not be good for our future, our young children and grandchildren. So we may leave a legacy for them. And let's not forget the evacuees right now. They leave home, and I met a few of them, and they want to go home so bad. And what do they go home to? And also, those other people that want to come home because they've been taken away, and now they want to come home. Let's have a good home for them to come to. How many do? Umaga piks ko yan. Amate, enote atsimo yan. Ewi sakitene yan. Utagani pa yan. Nakatwesta man. Taneh ko umaga not nige magak. Taneh ke ega ko yese ganap mito ya man tu. Real, the way real utaga kaganap maya kanap migonan. Teita kuista. Taneh ke umaga ispaik. Ngia ko chikason eni puyan. Nakataman kay waywis to sabat statsik. Kwesi ko kanap mitutsik. Wistan sakitene han lui real to umagais paik. Pasyagon tak kanap mitutak. Kaya wanih kita ko Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Government kashnekatamak. North, Central, and South kawichi to yak. Kaganap mito yak wakoto yan. Mantu. Thank you so much. Let's have a wonderful day. Let's move forward together. Merci. Thank you.
Hi.
Okay.
One more, folks.
Merci Kahkio for being here today. The heartland of the Métis on Treaty 6 territory on Whitecap First Nation and the Dakota Dunes. Thank you. Dear God, thank you for the new day. Guide us with your love, peace, and wisdom. Help us be kind and compassionate. Protect our loved ones and keep them safe. Guide our thoughts, words, and actions to bring joy and positivity. We thank you for your blessings. We trust in your plan. I ask God, Jesus, to be here with us today, to guide us in a good way, to bring together the Métis people, to work together to make a strong, proud Métis nation, to watch over the Métis communities, blessing and keeping them safe. In Jesus' name we pray. Ekose. Amen.
Merci.
Merci to our Levue Monde for opening the day in a good way. Now to get to some very, very important business. It's going to be the swearing in of our new Provincial Metis Youth Council President, Rachel Heiser. Okay. And I believe Hillary, our General Counsel, is going to be joining us online for this swearing in.
I am a Métis citizen of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan. I've been elected to the office of the Provincial Meetis Council of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan. As a Métis, I honor with pride the blood of both my mother and my father. As a Métis, I acknowledge the rich history of my people and the courage and dedication of my ancestors. As a Métis, I pledge to preserve the spirit and the identity of my people. As a Métis, I confirm my commitment to my community, my people, my nation. As a Métis, I accept my responsibility to put service to my people ahead of my self-interest and to honor the spirit of Creator and the Métis Nation. Thanks. Is that it at all?
Are we done? Hillary, you say a few words?
Yes, bon matin, and congratulations, Youth President. I am acknowledging that I can see you on video. Congratulations, and I'll see you this afternoon. You have now taken your oath of allegiance and in front of your peers, made it clear of your loyalty to Métis Nation-Saskatchewan. And I look forward to seeing you at the table. And thank you everyone for having me, and I'll see you this afternoon.
Thank you.
I'd like to say a few words, and Hillary, thank you for being here, and your family being here, taking the opportunity to be able to be part of the Provincial Meetis Council in the future of our government. Thank you so much for putting your name in, President Heiser, right?
Heiser.
President Heiser, and on behalf of the Métis Nation, and to be able to see your family and speak to your family this morning, it's a great pleasure to be able to have you here. And with that, I usually do the opening remarks, but I want you to say a few words before you take your seat with your family beside you. Say a few words, and then we'll get on with business. Thank you.
I'm very honored to be able to sit at this table, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of my family and my friends. I truly appreciate all the time that I've had with my mentors that have helped me gain the confidence in my abilities to put my name forward. I'm very much so looking forward to listening to all of those that make up our nation, not just the people at these tables, but also the people that are at the grassroots level, the people that are new citizens starting just to get connected within the nation. I'm excited to be a voice for all and to be able to amplify our voices that may be underrepresented. So I'm excited to start this new journey, and I'm excited to have the support of those who love me beside me. So thank you very much.
That is great. Congratulations, Rachel and her family. Welcome. All right, so now we're going to hop into the roll call, folks. If you're present, please say present. President Glenn McCallum.
Present.
Thank you. Secretary Marlene Hansen.
Present.
Laura Burnoff, Northern Region 1.
Here.
Thank you. Leonard Montgrand, Northern Region 2. Brennan Morasti, Northern Region 3.
Present.
Ryan Lee Carrier, Eastern Region 1.
Present.
Okay. Leonard Montgrand, I see you right there. Thank you. Darcy Lepowek, Eastern Region 2A.
Here.
Mark Friesen, Eastern Region 3.
Beaumatin here.
Loretta King, Western Region 1.
Good morning.
Billy Kennedy, Western Region 1A. On his way here. Sherry-Ann McLennan, Western Region 2. Beverly Fullerton, Western Region 2A.
Dawn Shea, good morning.
Wendy Gervais, Western Region 3. Rachel Heiser, President Métis Youth.
Here.
Welcome. Darlene Langen, President Métis Women. Thank you. We have quorum. All right, so now we will get a motion to accept the agenda, please. Minister Morasti, second. Minister Friesen, any discussion? Secretary Hansen.
Just going to speak. I would just like to, before we accept the agenda, I would like to ask a question around the consent agenda and if we can bring the June 25th meetings, read them into the record. Just because I know myself, I'm new here at the PMC, and if there's any action items or business of the day that we need to make sure that we have to follow up on, it would be really nice to make sure that's completed. I know that there was a resolution that was brought forward. There was a lot of questions asked.
Can you tell us the resolution that where the questions were around?
March 18th, there was a lot of questions asked that I didn't have answers to because I didn't know the process of what happened. I didn't get to read the report, and to my understanding, after I spoke to some of the regional reps, they've also didn't have the report read themselves. So if there is things that need to be followed up from that, it would be just nice to read them in so we could have them recorded into the minutes. Another question I also have, is our minutes verbatim?
No.
So
They're general, but there is a recording. But the minutes are general.
Should we not have them verbatim though? Because when we have our minutes summarized, it's kind of, sometimes we miss the real meat of what needs to be, what is being said. At least for myself as a PMC member, I am requesting that the minutes be written verbatim.
Okay, Mr. Quintel.
Just in reference to the March 18th minutes, those have already been approved by the Provincial Metis Council. So if there's anything to bring back, it would have to be specific and via resolution.
So those have already been accepted at the previous, like March is...
Okay, so can I request them to be on the next, at the MNLA, because there is a lot of questions. I know that in regards to the amount, that's on the payout, nobody knows the exact amount. I'm being asked an amount. I don't have that amount.
Yeah, you can't talk about that with Richard in the room.
I can't?
Nope, and that's all actually supposed to be confidential.
But that's one of the things the citizens are asking for, so I
We
guess
could
we should
discuss that
decide.
we could discuss that in camera.
Okay, I have another one. I noticed on the agenda, there's no room for, to add an agenda item, so I would like to make just a friendly amendment and add on how are the PMC moving forward with the concerns and challenges that our Métis citizens have in regards to some of the issues.
We need specifics.
Well, a constitution, for example. We know that there's an issue. We know that there's a concern out there. I just think as a PMC member that, and there's processes also, like, you know, what is the processes that we bring to the table? I know as a PMC member, I like to know who makes the decisions. Do we get the decisions from the staff, or do the staff make the decisions and we, or put it together and then we just decide yes or no?
Decisions regarding what? We need a specific, like when you, like, the Constitution's rather broad.
Okay. For example, if there's an issue coming into the PMC to be addressed in regards to a local, and we're having legal give an opinion prior to us at the PMC reviewing it and dealing with it, and giving the direction. I was under the impression as a PMC member that we would be providing the legal or the staff, like Richard, the direction on how we would like things handled after we review the issues that are coming forward. Like I said, I'm new. I'm asking questions so I can have that clarified.
Okay, I'll let
Thank
Mr. Quintella address that.
I'm not quite sure what you're referencing. I'm assuming you're talking about a local issue in a certain region, and that is being worked on with the region and legal from the local request. You know, generally a local requests support, the region requested support, then head office supports the region and the local. That work is already happening. That work is continued, but that is local and regional business. It is not PMC business.
So is there a process for that, Richard? Like,
So, yeah, Secretary Hansen, a couple of the things you're asking about are going to be dealt with on Government Day, the day before the MNLA, on the Friday. It's going to be an open session. There's going to be Q&A, ask about the leadership, all those things you're going to ask for. The other thing that you talked about, we have to talk about in camera. Mr. Cattell.
And also Provincial Secretary, the rest of the Provincial Metis Council, President Heiser, if you have any questions or want to kind of talk about how does government work, what is our current practices, how do they come about, how do we do these things, more than happy to sit down with you. We have, you know, it's not just today and, you know, every Tuesday is our government day where we work together. You know, I have every other day as well that I'm open and willing to meet with any one of you to talk about any of your concerns, you know, you need anything addressed or want to understand certain processes, happy to do that anytime.
just a resolution I reviewed that was on...
Okay, we have to speak to the agenda.
This is just a comment on what Richard said in regards to an issue that was brought up from the region. I was asked to go out to a region, and there was a resolution on 2019, April 4th, that was
Okay,
created.
we can't be bringing up 2019. This is about approving this agenda here today.
But it's for my position as the secretary.
How does that have to tie to the agenda?
Well, if we are going to be working with the regions, and I'm the secretary, and there's a resolution stating that I am to work with them, and I haven't been able to, so I would like to know how...
Okay,
what the
that's not
process
for
is.
this part of the agenda. That's outside of this meeting. Thank you. Any other questions on the agenda? All in favor of the agenda? Opposed? Okay, moved. So we'll go into opening remarks from President McCallum.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Miyagisigaw pa muy gayasan matua election guys paik kwesin tuhtawa ko gitay sinim na wak igwasti pa muktia ipamin tuhtawa ko mati sa giyoy dawita ko igwasti tan sitagi situs kawaya ko kwes kituti no egon ma igo gisto agap pastay kisto amnok siktuti no tay mahay go kituti mo awak igwasti tan tutamuay go tasitus kagui go taniganis taway go kituti minok. Elder, thank you for that prayer. In regards to the people that have passed on, the people that have left valuable information, like the 100-year-old lady from Island Cross that just passed on just a week ago. We don't pay enough attention in regards to the history of who we are and the importance of speaking as one. I said in my language in regards to a great day this morning, and the election is just done just 3 months ago. All of you had an opportunity to be able to travel this province like I did with my wife. We put in 12,000 kilometers on the vehicle to talk to our people. It was a great moment to be able to stop in different parts of our province, north, central, and south, to be able to hear and listen to and visit. And we get to learn a lot when we do that. But when we sit around this table, when people talk about grassroots, and I've addressed this in the last 8 years that I've been here, 12 and a half years, 4.5 years as area director, I've always understood democracy. I've always understood engagement. I've always understood that we have a voice, before I became president, to be able to pick and choose who we want to speak for us, and it's at the ballot box. But sometimes it's a little confusing when you sit around this table in regards to that voice that's disregarded and disrespected. Because each and every one of you sitting around here were voted by your people. And they believed in you. And you listened. Now you have to concentrate in regards to who you represent. Not the side conversations that are going on that distract you from what your job is as a government. And I'm glad we're live streamed to be able to have our people listen in regards to what I have to say. It's been tough in the last 12 and a half years to be able to get to the point of where we are. The Métis Nation has never been sitting good as we are, with the federal government, provincial government, industry, and institutions, and especially our citizens. To believe that we can be different, we are different. Yet the naysayers will say, you know, there's totally disregard and disrespect for leadership. You know, my wife and I have never hurt anybody. We tried the best that we can to be able to represent our government in a fair way. But we're at a crossroads of assimilation, distinction, and where's that balance? He's been the machinihiyo yan, mi watch umatay mutamata go, tan tigi pigyan. Tan sige sip machian, bapas tin mama numusyo mas tinukom. Tanda tu ay sino ang ganstu tagwag kiwiga mutaman. Tigagyo pigyan. When I speak my language, how many understand? When I speak about my mom and dad, my mushrooms and my kuhkums from my mom's side and my dad's side, who understands? All these years we've been marginalized as Métis people, and we have an opportunity to be able to highlight the importance of our identity, culture, values, and language, and highlight the success that we have as Métis people and the government that we formed and the staff that we hire to do the job. Yet if you hear out there in regards to the lack of accountability, I said this in the last meeting and I'll say it again. Our staff are stealing money? Our finance people are not doing the job that they need to do for us to be accountable? I don't think so. I know so. You know, I came in with what I have, and I'll leave with what I came in with. I'm not a rich man, I don't have money in the bank, but that's the way I like it. And that's the way I'm going to go home. To be able to see our government grow, to be able to see the excitement of our citizens, and to be able to have our citizens trust us. Like these little demonstrations that are going on are a distraction, but nothing distracts me. No matter what you say to me, nothing can hurt me. I can only hurt myself if I listen to others. The name calling, the things that I've been called because I don't have an education. You know, I'm proud of being a Métis. I'm proud of my language. I'm proud of being grounded in my ways, my identity, culture, values, and language. When I said marginalized in regards to the reality of how we live and to be able to convince and prove to governments that we're okay people, that you can trust us. You respect us, but you need to trust us. And by the trust that they give us is attached with dollars. Our budgets are high now. When we first started, only my cell phone. How did we become to be where we're at? Just because I'm from the University of Mississippi Tampico, where my university is my home, my culture. You know, I've worked in the inner city of Saskatoon. I've worked at the University of Saskatchewan with people that do research. I know how things operate, federally, provincially, industry-wise. Drinking capital of the North, Pine House, where I come from, where a lot of you have come when we were in that shithole. And I'll say that, they're listening. But I'm right. To tell the truth and bluntly about who we are. But at the same time, realizing that we can turn our lives around like I did, my wife and I and my family. Like some individuals that sit around this table that changed their lives for the better. But there's got to be open arms for the people that have struggled with alcoholism, drug abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, abandonment, neglect, anger, jealousy, controlling factors, and the list goes on. This is the time that you have to focus your attention on the future of our government. We had a cabinet meeting yesterday, had a very good meeting. Talked about the different files that we have and how do we nurture along those different files to be able to get the dollars and capacity we need for our citizens. Not demonstrations or cartoons. They can do all the cartoons they want. But sometimes, you know, people get away with things. They think they can say anything under the sun. No, you can't. If you have principles that can guide you to be the best person that you can ever be, that's a tough job. It took me a hell of a long time to get to be that person I wanted to be. Because of where I come from and what I've heard and what I've seen. Today we have a government. We are focused on our government. We will be focused on our government. And you have a role as ministers to be able to do the job that needs to be done and not be distracted by certain things that are going out there. I trust our staff. I trust our CEO. I trust our COO. I trust our directors. I trust our legal. They will guide us. They will advise us. But you get to make a decision around this table. There is no way conversation going on and say, do they control? Do they give advice? Do they make decisions? No, they don't. You got elected. They didn't. but the kind of word twisted statements people can make. And all of a sudden, the people that are, if we're 150 to 200 young people were to sit around this room and watch what's going on, how many of them would find it in their spirit to be able to be proud if they see confusion? You should have been there when I first started, if you want to talk about confusion. To be able to walk in as president, the first meeting when I first got elected, I told my wife, "What the fuck are we doing here? Let's go home." That's exact words I used. And we sat there in a vehicle at Jackfish Lodge. And to watch the different people, the politics of it, oh man, it's crazy. And he said, "Let's go in." I only knew a few people around that table that time. But it happened to be where people actually wanted a better nation. But it was hard, and it was a struggle. But fast forward 12 and a half years, look at where we are. That's why I keep talking about it to a certain point. Maybe it'll register with the people that are representatives that you have a role to play in this government. And it has to be positive. Our citizens expect that. When you talk about grassroots, you talk about the people that voted, that cared about our nation, and believed in you. I'm going to vote for you because I want a strong voice. And that strong voice has to be based on efforts and evidence. If you take the dollars that we get in your ministries, the outcomes of what we've done, in a few short years, 11,000 of our people that have fallen through the cracks are going to school and finishing school. Over 1,100 of our people, first-time home buyers, through the home buyers program, are owning their own homes. And those are the stories that we hear when my wife and I travel this province. I don't waste my time listening to people that don't care about me, that don't care about our government, that don't care about public relations, that don't care about governments, but I care. Even though I might have a difference with the people that are in power provincially or federally, my job is to open those doors to be able to communicate. To be able to tell that story and to be able to get the capacity to be able to build our government, but more importantly, to deliver programs for our people. That's our jobs. So as we move forward, I want to thank this province and our citizens voting at the ballot box. The first question I was asked, the interviewer said, "Why isn't there more people voting?" Well, if you go back 12 years ago, there was hardly people voting. Fast forward 4 years after that, a good number of people voted. 8 years after that, a lot more people voted, and so on and so forth. It's called public relations and engagement. To make our citizens believe that we are the people that are going to lead our government, that we're the government that's going to open the doors for the right capacity to do the programming and deliver for our people. So when I say grassroots, those are the people that care, the grassroots that voted in the ballot box, that voted for us. We have to represent them. So I don't like using grassroots people because it's generalizing. The stories that I hear in this province have nothing to do with some of the negativity that's going on. It's all positive when I travel. Even now, in the last 3 months, I put 12,000 kilometers in a new vehicle. In the last 3 months. And all I heard traveling, keep up the good work, Glenn. Keep going. Don't listen to the people that are on the sidelines. Keep building. You area directors and youth president have an obligation. When we swore on the oath, when you swore on the oath, it got me thinking and emotional a bit when you read into that oath, because it means so much. And I can see your parents, the smiles that they have to be able to support you. It's beautiful to see. But the oath that we swore to, when we get sworn in, is the basis of how we look at ourselves, but more importantly, how we act on our government. And so, as we begin to move forward, that oath I've read it twice now at the Assembly, just to remind people in regards to the oath and what we swore to. And it's a great document. And it lists our citizens as the main factor of why we're here. So we're going to do the best that we can. We have good agreements with the University of Saskatchewan, signing an MOU, citizenship agreement, and teaching governance at the university and signing a research agreement. Stoichev is going out president. There's a new one. Vince is the new guy coming in, and I know him very well. He actually did some planning with Pine Nose back in the day. And we had a very good conversation, had a meeting with him already. And Vel G is the vice president of the University of Saskatchewan, and him and I spoke. We're going to have coffee, just the two of us. And we're going to plan out a process in regards to how we can work the research to be able to qualify and justify in regards to that relationship, but more importantly, the information that we can get from our government. Yes, we have money coming in. Yes, we've delivered a lot of programs, but there's gaps in our government. We have to work with the university to be able to identify those gaps, and the negotiating team, as we negotiate with the federal government, and I've told that to the Prime Minister in regards to the importance of working with the University of Saskatchewan, to be able to get the information to qualify the numbers that we do have, but more importantly, to address the gaps we have as a government. Because they believe in us. Otherwise, we wouldn't get the funding that we get. The province is working with us, with our health department, our housing. We just yesterday, Minister Fullerton and I did the sod turning ceremony, and the federal government put in money, and the province put in dollars. We have great partners. So you have a job to do as ministers and representatives of this council to be able to keep those doors open, to get consistent in regards to what we build with this government. The side chatters don't bother me a bit, like I said. What I will concentrate on is our government, in the relationships that we build. That is where the capacity is going to come from. Not from anywhere else. Federal government, provincial government, and industry, and institutions through research money. We have to concentrate on that. We have to plan around that. And we're going to. I still struggle today in regards to assimilation, distinction, and balance. It's going to be a while to get there, but we will get there. I always hold up this empty space paper, if I can find one here. This, in my opinion, is Section 35 with nothing. We work around that empty space because assimilation is alive and well. How do we bring those pieces within that Section 35 space? By creating a paper that qualifies and explains what distinction is. And we've worked on that for 5 years now. Working with the University of Saskatchewan, with Métis academics and Métis elders. We got 5 academic elders that still know how to speak their language and know their traditions. They're going to be a part of this process. So to be able to explain and to be able to fill that empty space, we have all the parts. It's just a matter of believing in ourselves in regards to who we are as Métis people, and to be able to negotiate properly, and rightfully so, where governments start realizing that we are unique and distinct like what we're called in the Constitution. I so look forward to that. To be able, for once and for all, understand that assimilating and thinking from mainstream doesn't address what the issues that we have as indigenous people, as Métis people and Métis governments. Pugota Winsto Tamuaya Kogia no Pitu Sisayamia, we gotta make them realize that we speak a different language. Puta Winsto Tamuaya ko tan sige piso pigya, we have to make them understand how we've grown. Putan sto tamuaya ko tan site suichi ko, we gotta make them understand how to better support us. Homelessness, housing, health, education. That is your role. As ministers, you have a responsibility to Section 35 rights. Anybody can say, you're not a government. You're not distinct. Yes, we are. We're struggling at times, yes, to be able to formalize a plan in regards to who we are, where are we going, what are we doing, what doors do we open. Well, we have all of that now. It's just a matter of the conversation evidence to be able to put across the table of the Prime Minister's desk, the Premier's desk, institutions, and taxpayers of this country. Taxpayers of this country have every right to know in regards to how we spend our money. And I've always said that. Like I said, I'm not rich, and I won't be, and I don't want to be. But I'll spend money, even through the campaign. Public relations is number one for our government. Public relations, to be able to tell people who we are, what we've done, to be able to tell the story of what we've done, and to be able to have people. In our government, public relations is number one. Our department now has got to start being connected to our spirit of who we are and what we do and where we go. Nobody's going to do it for us. It's going to be done by us and for us. And I've done that. Why is the government working with us, the feds, the province, industry, institution? Because I tell a good story. But I want all of us to tell that story. But with that story is evidence. How it comes with taxpayers' dollars and how we spend. And what we've done with those taxpayers' dollars. Each of your department, every meeting that we have now, we've got to listen to your departments. Where are we at? What's the files we're nurturing along? Where are the negotiations at? Those are the things that I want to hear on this table. I want to hear those stories. I want to hear the work that you do within those departments. I want our staff to understand the reality of what goes on the ground of our people, because we hear it. You know, I can say honestly that nobody has ever approached me to be negative to me in person. But Facebook warriors, they'll say anything they want. But they'll never say it in my face, even at the assembly. So all the stories that we hear and the spirit of how I carry myself is based on what I hear from our people. To give me the spirit and the boost to be able to continue doing this job. And for you to continue doing your job, remember the ballot box. Those are the true people you represent. Those are the ones that took the time to go and vote, to vote for you. In yesterday's meeting, I heard some really good stories about regions that never got the opportunity to be able to participate, but now are working very hard to be able to bring that certain regions to come together. It's beautiful to see. It's a beautiful thing to be able to have our people participate. But at the end of the day, there is a lot of times I bite my tongue in regards to how much I've learned to be a government and to not be a micromanager. but allow our government to grow, and our staff have done a great job, have done a wonderful job in regards to what they do. They'll continue to do so. But we have a lot of work to do. But it's good work. And the evidence is there for you to see in regards to what we've done and will continue to do. Nuitsi aga nagtahtugan tuhtamigi o animi tinanusuta. Tan tuhtamig tagskitamig yah kami mo yah. Muin tuhtamana nakontay sino kayam tsik. Kiyopo tan tuhtata kandawih tamigi goite ispay. Michat kiyo sa siktemit na o. Kapmuhtiak nuigamaganasche. Kan tuhtata go tan sisimi tamigi tuwasim suawag. Apo le kol kay tuhtitik. Kitsuwasim suawag school kay tuhtitik. Kitsuwasim suawag kawap may go. At tuski uniatik. Ba mi asiniwan ma. Yung tumichad yung agin tuhtina o insto tamigtan sigay sayam yan umamigwats. Nah kami mun tapito tapmo tataya kita yung mun no. Apo man our elders kaya mahat chik nihiopit tamog mitchif as sigapit tuip tako dene language as sigapit tuip tako. Ba mi asiniwan ma. Kayo ikats wanita ta kau nagiano. Tan sigisip mat soon no. Iwasi tan sitay steep siniak tawita tuski maya ko governments. Tan sitay suita tuski maya ko kitay siniminanak. Igudan siwita tuski ya taksno maya ko kigoy pitaya. Imiosik something nezo. So ni mi tinu tagapya. Kami mutak. Kwesa tuski tak. Kimioya no. Kimiog tapin go no. Hiwe po tasuka tuski po tatapo agi tamah kaitan tuhtawa ko sino kung tagayam chik. Ay mano mo te takusinya taga takusinya maka muhka kimiopino kiwe kimiopino mi watch. Kan siga ui sa tuski ngwa ko sino we o asunya sa gayawa chik. Partista no po katwate sabsa. Igo tatuski agan na nagu tagawas kapit chik mi asin kay sa tuski chik. Kami mo tagi wan ma. So with that, on behalf of your government, we'll have a good meeting here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President McCallum. Just want to welcome the 300 plus people that are now tuned in, the most ever that have tuned in to watch a Provincial Meetis Council meeting. Thank you. And I'd also like to remind everybody in the room to please put your phones on notifications off and mute. Thank you very much. Now for item 6 on the proposed consent agenda items, could I have a motion to accept that, please? Thank you, Minister Friesen. Seconder. Thank you, Minister Fullerton. All in favor of the consent agenda? Against? Okay, so moved. Thank you very much. We'll get into resolution 7.1 now. Rules and procedures, Provincial Meetis Council rules and procedures. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan MNS recognizes the distinctiveness of Métis identity, culture, values, and language, inclusive of knowledge keepers, elders, youth, women, and distinctive resources, which is incorporated into proposals and decisions of the Provincial Meetis Council, PMC. Whereas the PMC conduct policy adopted by the PMC on June 25, 2025, 250625-08, states in Section 9 that the PMC shall, within 60 days of adopting this policy, adopt rules and procedures to govern the conduct of its meetings. Whereas the PMC meeting rules and procedures attached as Schedule A establishes a clear set of rules for PMC meetings to ensure clarity, consistency, and transparent meeting processes. And whereas the draft PMC meeting rules and procedures have been reviewed by the PMC at technical briefings on June 18, 2025, and June 27, 2025, and feedback gathered during the technical review sessions have been incorporated into the proposed PMC rules and procedures attached as Schedule A. Therefore, be it resolved that the Provincial Meetis Council, PMC, at its duly held meeting on August 19, 2025, approves the adoption of the Provincial Meetis Council meeting rules and procedures attached as Schedule A. Dated this 19th day of August 2025, moved by Minister Marg Friesen, Eastern Region 3, seconded by Minister Beverly Fullerton, Western Region 2A. Minister Friesen, still so move.
I so move, and I'd like to speak to it, please.
Thank you. Minister Fullerton, still so second.
I still so second, would also like to have discussion.
Thank you. Minister Friesen.
Thank you, Chair. Bon matin, everyone. Bon matin to our guests here in the room and to people online. I think it's really important that we reiterate the policies and procedures for the PMC and how we conduct ourselves at the table, but also always as elected officials. We have a duty to uphold, and it's important that we consider what our position is and who we represent. Yeah, there's a lot of chatter out there. It's distracting.
There's a team event or something next door.
Okay, I would like to, I'm happy to support this resolution. We did have very healthy discussion about the rules and procedures for the PMC at 2 technical meetings and then at the last PMC council. So we're really moving forward on developing, some guidelines and how we, as I mentioned, how we conduct ourselves. So I'm very happy to support this resolution. Marcy.
Thank you. Lefty President Langen.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering, we're talking about the attached Schedule A. Can we pull that up so we can review it?
It was in your package that you got last week.
Okay.
There's like 10, 15 pages.
Yeah, but can we put it up for the people in all the room and the people back there to see the Schedule A so they know what we're discussing and voting on? Like, is there a problem? Can you hear me better?
Is there something you want to speak to specifically in it?
Well, yeah, I'd like to have it pulled up if you don't mind.
Can we pull that up, please?
Thank you.
And so, Ms. Langen, is there a specific thing you want to talk about in there? Because, and please have your microphone on when you speak.
And these rules are for our PMC meetings, correct?
Correct.
So members may only speak twice, like during our meetings,
And, per motion,
per motion?
unless you ask and it's approved that you can go further. Very similar to what we had for the MNLA.
Okay. Is there anything in here in regards, like, for our agenda, I noticed that you need to get stuff sent in, I think it is 2 weeks ahead of time.
Yeah.
Could we not on our agenda put other business? Like, I know a lot of people do the other business on agenda so that something comes up less than 2 weeks prior to our PMC meeting, then we have the opportunity to discuss it at least.
Minister Morasti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, President Langen, for your question. But practice has been and continues to be that any agenda items, resolutions you'd like to put forth as a PMC, that you bring that forward by email to policy in advance of a PMC meeting. We know our calendar for the year, so I continue to do so. As you've seen in our very first PMC meeting following the election, I had a resolution on Métis distinction Today, you'll see 2 more resolutions being introduced on my behalf, and that is because I am proactive and being following our processes and structures of this government. We also have every Tuesday government days where we bring up ideas based on conversations with citizens. And if you want to say, what do you see on social media? So those conversations continue to happen, and those processes, structures are in place for a good reason. We can't just be all over the place. I believe in them, I stand by them, and I say we continue to follow them. Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry?
I'd like to reply to that, please. What I did say, though, is a lot of times it could be less than 2 weeks, less than a week, where something may arise that needs to be discussed at the Provincial Metis Council. So then we have to put it aside for another month before we can do that? Like, why is it so hard not to be able to put other business on our agenda?
Okay,
It's called structure.
Mr. Quintal and then Ms. Fullerton.
Thank you, Chair. So the reason that the council removed other business is because as a government you can't prepare. So if there's financial implications, if there's policy, political implications, those things need to be looked at. For example, Finance Committee always meets prior to a Provincial Métis Council, so it gives the opportunity to prepare for the government to support you the best way that we can, because our government here is to support all of you in your direction. But to be able to do that, you need to have all, we need, if there's legal implications, whatever that might be. However, if there is something that is urgent, like that is coming forward and is emergent, the council can vote on it and then move to bring it to the agenda. But that is the reason why there's no other business. There was other business when you used to meet twice a year, or you'd meet 4 times a year, because it was rare that you would be coming together. However, our government, the practice has been monthly, and now we moved it from monthly to weekly. And so there's plenty of opportunity to bring things forward. But if it is urgent, and it can be brought to this table.
Minister Fullerton.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So we were able to go through this quite, with a fine-tooth comb and making sure that it aligned with the way our order of business should be handled at the table. And there was some requests to, make sure that the language was correct and proper and aligned with our, the work that we do. After speaking with my colleague, Minister Friesen, and touching base with Billy Joe Dottabaugh, the director, there is just one small friendly amendment I would like to make that's under 12, Section 12A, where it states that, we would receive 5 days prior to a meeting. We're requesting that it be 7 days. And then there'll be further after this one, it's not related to this, but a request for how we receive our packages for the MNLA. But if we could really receive at least 7 days prior to regular PMC meetings, this would enhance our ability to review the documents if we haven't received it or can't get into it. Allows us some time to make sure we're getting the connections with the right folks at the table that can assist us with that. But everything else in here, after reviewing, our suggested changes have been added in here. So I still second and believe that this is very important for us to have, for us to move forward.
Minister Friesen, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with the amendment.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions on the policy? Secretary Hansen.
I have a comment in regards to the 2 minutes. We talk about distinction, and with the Métis, I think this 2 minutes is really difficult when we talk about distinction, because it's very hard to be ruled by 2 minutes when we're dealing with issues that really matter of the heart of the Métis people. I think that when it came from the MNLA and this was approved, we said we would try it. We would work with it. It was a live document, and it's never been taken back to the MNLA to be reviewed to see if this 2 minute is acceptable, because it's really tough when you're speaking. I also see all of the the rules. I definitely appreciate professionalism, and we definitely need structure to be guided. However, sometimes sitting back here, if we're going to follow an agenda and if we're going to have certain time slotted, then I think that time slotted should be for all, and not just allowed to go here and there when it's needed, because, you know, some will get half hour, 20 minutes, and then some of us get 2 minutes. So, you know, I think we have to be fair across the board when we're implementing something like this. I too believe, but I do see in 19 that, you know, if we do have something and it's an emergency, like I'm going to go back to the distinct base Métis, you know, if we do have issues and they are important because life happens, that we should be able to, not should, we need to be able to bring them to the table and discuss them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you are. Mr. Friesen, you wanted to respond to the time limit.
Thank you, Chair. Respectfully, I disagree with Provincial Secretary Hansen. 2 minutes is plenty of time to get your point across. You can articulate in 2 minutes, be focused with your either your concern or your question for further discussion. 2 minutes is plenty of time, but you also have more than one opportunity to debate the motion or inquire further for further discussion. Thank you.
And then I also just want to point out that if you have used your 2 opportunities, you can ask other folks if they would give you their time. So if it's an important thing and you want to say, hey, Mr. Montgrand, could I take your 2 minutes, and they allow, then you can speak to it again. So there is some flex. Sorry, Leonard, to point you out there. So is there any other discussion on this, folks? Seeing none.
One more quick question.
Oh.
Is this going to go back to the MNLA?
No, this is just for
This
the
is for
rules
us,
of the
the rule?
PMC.
Okay.
This is not MNLA procedures or rules whatsoever. This is for these meetings. All
Okay,
in favor? Against? Abstained? Motion passed. All right, we'll go on to number 7.2 here now. Amend the order of the day for the September 5th to 7th, 2025 MNLA. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan MNS recognizes the distinctiveness of Métis identity, culture, values, and language, inclusive of knowledge keepers, leviumon, the old ones, or elders, youth, women, and distinctive resources, which is incorporated into proposals and decisions of the Provincial Meetis Council, PMC. Whereas Article 3.10 of the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan authorizes the PMC to set the date and place for each sitting of the Métis Nation Legislative Assembly, MNLA. Whereas the PMC, at its duly held meeting on February 18, 2025, resolved to hold an MNLA on September 5 to 7, 2025, at Prairieland Park, 503 Ruth Street West, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, PMC number 250218-07. Whereas Article 6.2 and 6.3 of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan Legislative Assembly Act, 1999, as amended, directs the clerk of the MNLA, as defined in Article 2.4 of the Act, to draft an agenda for the MNLA, as directed by the PMC, and to compile the necessary documentation for the order of the day. And whereas the PMC approved an order of the day for the September 2025 MNLA, at their duly held meeting on June 25, 2025, 2506-2513. Sorry about that. Whereas the PMC approved an order of the day for the September 2025 MNLA at their duly held meeting on June 25, 2025, 2506-25-13, which requires minor amendments that are herein proposed by the clerk of the MNLA. Therefore, be it resolved that the Provincial Meetis Council approves the updated order of the day / agenda as follows for the September 2025 Métis Nation Legislative Assembly on September 5 to 7, 2025, as proposed by the Clerk of the Legislative Assembly. And it's going to be a town hall, September 5, 2025. And then MNLA Day 1, September 6, 2025. Grand Entry, Fiddler Dean Smith. Opening Prayer, Le Vieux Monde, the Old Ones are Elders. Métis Anthem, Loretta King, Western Region 1. O Canada by a Métis MNS citizen. State of the Nation Address, Glenn McCallum, President. Swearing in regional representatives from Eastern Region 2. Roll call of registered voting delegates. Richard Quintal, Clerk of the MNLA. Motions. Ratification of Speaker reappointment and appointment of Deputy Speaker for 2-year term. Reactivation of locals in Eastern Region 2 and Eastern Region 2A. Approval of the order of the day. Proposed consent agenda items. Adoption of the minute taker. Reading of the record of decisions of the November 2 to 3, 2024 and January 25, 2025 MNLA minutes. Adoption of the November 2 to 3, 2024 and January 25, 2025 MNLA minutes. Business arising from the November 2 to 3, 2024 and January 25, 2025 MNLA minutes. Acceptance of all reports, executive, regional, ministerial, CEO, and affiliates, and appointment of Dumont Scouts. Motion, ratification of ministerial portfolios. Presentation of 2023-2024 MNS audited financial statements. Motion, approval of 2023-2024 MNS audited financial statements. Then a presentation of the 2025-26 MNS operating budget, and a motion for approval of 2025-2026 MNS operating budget and Day 1. MNLA Day 2, September 7th, 2025, opening prayer, Le Vieux Monde, the Old Ones are Elders. Roll call, coming home update, Clerk of the MNLA. Presentation of the Registry Audit Report, Deb Donaldson, Registrar. Motion, accept the Registry Audit Report. Motions, Métis distinction, identity, culture, values, and language, and strengthening regional governance. Dated this 19th day of August, 2025, moved by Minister Laura Burnoff, Northern Region 1, seconded by Minister Darcy Lepowick, Eastern Region 2A. Minister Burnoff, still so move. I know she's in. Yes, I do. Thank you, Minister. Minister Lepowick, still so second.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? President Langen. Microphone. Thank you.
I'm going to just put it a little bit closer. I just want to go back to, where is it? I just noticed the reactivation of locals from ER2 and ER2A. Do we know which locals those are? That's the first question. The second question I have is there's a swearing in for a representative from ER2. Are we able to legally do that? Because is there not supposed to be a judicial recount within that region for the representation? And is it going to be done, the judicial hearing going to be done before the MNLA? And then the third question is, I see on here that we're asking for the approval of the 23-24 MNS audit financials, which is fine and dandy. But what I don't see on here is the approval of our 25-26 MNS audit financial statements.
Because they don't get audited till after the year. So they're asking you to a motion to approve the budget, and then you'll get the audit next year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Clerk Quintal, you're going to answer those.
Thank you, Chair. So just to that point, the recount for the region happens the day prior to the MNLA, and then the others happen following the MNLA.
And as to the locals, I'm told it's Esterhazy 84, Langenberg, Springside, and Wynyard 116. Any other comments? Secretary Hansen.
I mentioned earlier in regards to a resolution that was brought up 2019 in regard to the secretary. So I'm not quite sure, I might be questioned here. I recall that I recall at a MNLA that we were we were not going to be bringing any more locals in till we had certain issues or concerns addressed with all of the locals. That was a while back. I'm just wondering if it's done or if it's what's going on with that. That's one question.
Okay, we'll answer that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Friesen.
Thank you, Chair. That's a good question, Secretary Hansen. If I recall, we did have a local commission. That commission has since been completed. The report was submitted. We have reviewed the report, and the resolution was until the commission was completed, if I recall, if my memory serves me right. So therefore, I think we can continue on business with either ratifying locals that want to be reactivated, or to disillusion locals that are not, have been inactive for quite a few years. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Your
I'd
second
like to
question?
respond.
Oh, sure.
I recall that report. I never knew it was accepted, like anything was even done with it. I thought it was shelved and nobody was really happy with it. So I don't recall that coming back to the MNLA to provide us that we could move forward. Not that I have anything against bringing locals. I just want to make sure we're following the right process.
Okay, and then what's your second question?
For the swearing in of the region, would it not be a good idea for us to be swearing in all of the people, the other individuals together to celebrate instead of individually? I just think, you know, I know from my moment of being sworn in that it's such a proud moment, and we should be celebrating together, and I just think the more the merrier. Just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Quintel.
The reason that the swearing in is happening is so that the individual can participate in the Legislative Assembly.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on the agenda for the MNLA, folks? Seeing none, I'm going to put it, oh, sorry.
I have a question.
Secretary Hansen.
The question I have is the MNLA moving forward really quick. And I know that, you know, it was for fall and then it's been scheduled for September. I'd like to know the rationale for that. And I also would like, just because of the recent situation that occurred in regards to the resolutions, we were to put resolutions in, and I know when I was reviewing my resolution, there was not enough time to review it because of the time limit and the MNLA so soon. So it kind of like, we had to decide what do we do here, and I don't think it's fair to people that are putting in resolutions when we're running into overlapping with time, or we can't get the resolution in because of a timeline. So just my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Burnoff, you had your hand up online.
Yeah, thank you. Regarding the September 5th agenda, it should read dialogue forums and not leadership town hall. It's dialogue forums. It's a clerical error. So that could be changed. That's a friendly amendment, I forgot to say.
Okay, thank you, Minister. They're just, I don't know what we have to title it exactly, but I think it's okay. So, Minister, would Leadership Forum work?
Sure.
Okay. There
Yes.
we go. Minister, oh, you made that motion, so I'm assuming you're okay with that amendment?
Yeah, yeah.
Minister Lepwick, you okay with that friendly amendment just on the title?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments, folks? Minister Fullerton.
I just want to make a quick comment. I believe Secretary Hansen had asked why we rushed into this and why we were still moving ahead. And I just want to note for the citizens and for this region, Western Region 2A, that there was discussion on canceling the fall 2025 MNLA in September. And it was within the council that the work must continue and move on. This is set for the MNLA and to bring the MNLA forward. So we are moving forward at the direction of this region to continue the work.
Thank you, Minister. Minister Friesen.
Thank you, Chair. Correction from our technicians here. We did not put reactivation of existing locals on hold. It was only the acceptance of new locals that was put on hold during that commission process. And so these, I believe, Minister Lepwick, are reactivated locals, correct?
Yes, these are reactivated locals.
Okay, good clarity. Thank you very much. Any other comments, folks? All right, we'll vote. All those in favor of accepting this motion? Thank you. Okay, passed. Thank you very much. Well, look at that, right at 10:30. So we'll take a 15-minute health break, and then we will get back to work. So 10:45 on the nose, friends. the delays in getting back online. I'll call the meeting back into order, and I'm going to excuse myself for the next motion. I'm going to turn it over to Matt Vermette.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'll be chairing just 7.3 here. So 7.3, Provincial Métis Council Meeting Chair. Appointment of the Provincial Métis Council Chairs. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan recognizes the distinctiveness of Métis identity, culture, values, and language, inclusive of knowledge keepers, elders, youth, and distinctive resources, which is incorporated into proposals and decisions of the Provincial Métis Council, PMC. Whereas the efficient running of the monthly meeting of the PMC benefits from the appointment of a meeting chair who was not selected from among the elected officials and allows for fuller participation of all members in discussions, action planning, and decision making. Whereas only one chair is required per meeting, but the appointment of more than one alternative will ensure an approved person is available for all meetings. And whereas both John Lajamodier and Michael Nolan have both proven themselves to bring excellence to the role of meeting chairs for the Provincial Métis Council, now therefore be it resolved that the Provincial Métis Council, PMC, appoints John Lajamodier and Michael Nolan to serve as meeting chairs for 2026 and 2027 for meetings of the PMC. Dated this 19th day of August 2025, moved by President Glenn McCallum and seconded by Loretta King, Minister Loretta King, Western Region 1A. President McCallum, do you so move?
Yes.
Thank you. Minister King, do you so second?
I do, however, I just want to correct, it's Western Region 1. Western Region 1A is Billy's.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you, Minister. We'll make that amendment. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. One opposed?
I have a question, or not a comment.
Sorry, I did miss that part. You're right. I went to vote without deliberations. So thank you, Provincial Secretary. I'm going to reverse back before we vote and go to discussion. So, yes, President Langen.
Okay, the reason I voted against it is I wanted to ask a question, and I was kind of wondering why we skipped that. Does this not go against our Constitution in its regulations? I just want to make sure, for legality reasons, that if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, that in there it was supposed to be the president that is the chair of all the meetings, and then after, if he can't make it, then it's usually the VP that takes his place to chair meetings. So I've always wondered why we have this process. So if you can explain that to me, I'd really appreciate it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, President Langen. Okay, we'll go to Senior General Counsel Hillary Peterson, if you're online and can provide some insight on that question. Hillary Peterson, are you available? Okay, we can see that you're off mute now, but we still don't have sound on this end. We can't hear you. It's very quiet. Oh, okay, Hillary, we're not able to hear you.
My apologies, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I was having a technical technical issue there. Yes, thank you. So I have heard the question, which is, can the PMC appoint a speaker? And the answer is yes. The PMC has the authority to appoint a speaker. That can be done, in particular when the president may want more involved in conversations, and it can help for flow of conversations, and having a neutral speaker can encourage that. So I'll see here if there's any follow-up questions from that.
Okay, thank you, Hillary. Going to turn it over to CEO Richard Quintel for some additional dialogue.
I just also, in your packages, you passed the PMC rules. Within the PMC rules, there is 5.1 under meetings, the chair. The president is the chair of each PMC meeting unless the president delegates the responsibility of the chair to another person and the PMC ratifies that delegation. 2, the chair shall not take part in debate. And 3, the chair shall not decide any points of order raised and may confer with legal counsel or others as the chair sees fit for advice.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Hillary. So that's the legal advice we received, President Langen. So I'll move on in the speakers list to Provincial Secretary Hansen.
Thank you, Darlene, for that question. I just have an addition to that question. I know when we were going through this at the Governance Day, and we asked the question of the president being the chair, it was also mentioned that it was for the value of using the votes, that it would give him the opportunity to also vote. And I know that we asked for a legal opinion on that. Did that happen? Did we find out because if it's for flow of conversation, I understand, because sometimes it's hard to be able to chair and listen. However, I have a concern with the voting process, though.
Okay.
Is that...
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over to CEO Richard Quintel to reply.
Just wanted to make a point as we just had a legal opinion.
Okay. Okay. Hillary, is there anything that you want to add to your previous opinion to address that, or is that sufficient, you feel?
I just want to clarify, I just want to ensure that the question from Secretary Hansen was answered. Is Secretary Hansen's concern that about the president having a vote? I just want to make sure I'm clear that there's an understanding that yes, the president can vote, is not the chair when that chair position has been delegated.
So is that legal, that he can vote? Because...
Yeah, and the reason why, Secretary, is that the president is then not the chair. The only reason why the president wouldn't vote is because president would be sitting in the position of chair. He's no longer sitting in the position of chair as that's been delegated, and then that would allow president to vote.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. Minister Morasti, you're next on the list.
Question.
Okay, question has been called. No other hands raised, so we'll move to the vote. So I'd read it into record. I guess now back to the part where I ask all in favor. Okay, opposed? Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll read that into the record, or write that into the record. Abstentions? Okay, carried. Thank you. And that concludes my time as chair.
Thank you very much. Next up, you got my agenda there. 7.4, approval of to change banking partner to RBC. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan, MNS, recognizes the distinctiveness of Métis identity, culture, values, and language, inclusive of knowledge keepers, Le Vieux Monde, the old ones or elders, youth, women, and distinctive resources, which is incorporated into proposals and decisions of the Provincial Meetis Council, PMC. Whereas the Finance Department conducted a comprehensive review and evaluation of potential banking partners in response to ongoing service limitations with the current provider, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, CIBC. Whereas the evaluation included proposals from Connexus and Royal Bank of Canada, RBC, with RBC demonstrating superior capabilities in electronic funds transfer, EFT processing, online banking services, client support, and investment options tailored to meet Métis Nation-Saskatchewan's, MNS's, cash flow and treasury management needs. Whereas the recommendation from the Finance Department, supported by the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, is to transition MNS's primary banking relationship from CIBC to RBC. And whereas the Minister of Finance has reviewed the recommendation and supports the transition of MNS's banking partner from CIBC to RBC. Therefore, be it resolved that the Provincial Meetis Council approves the selection of RBC as the new banking partner for MNS and authorizes the CEO to proceed with all necessary steps to implement the transition, including adding existing authorized signatories to the new RBC accounts, notifying stakeholders, setting up new banking infrastructure, and managing the staged migration of funds and services. Further, be it resolved that the CEO shall ensure that all funders, service providers, and customers are appropriately notified of the change, and that the transition is executed in a manner that minimizes disruption to operations. Dated this 19th day of August 2025, moved by Minister Mark Friesen, Eastern Region 3, seconded by, is there a seconder on this motion? Minister Brennan Morasti. Minister Friesen, still so move.
Yes, I so move, and I'll speak to it, please.
Thank you. Minister Morasti, still so second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Minister Friesen.
Thank you, Chair. We have reviewed and researched what services are provided by this financial institution, by Royal Bank of Canada, and they offer exceptional service to us as an Indigenous government of our size, and they have responded to our inquiries in a very timely fashion. The finance team has done an exceptional job researching. There was 2 other institutions that we had reached out to. One, of course, has service limitations that would not serve our needs, and the other one didn't even respond. So RBC has responded and has been very responsive to this point, and the transition period, as stated in the resolution, is going to be very minimal disruption, and so that will the transition period to RBC will be a course of time, of course. It won't happen all at once, but we're looking forward to building that relationship with RBC. Marcy.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding this motion?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a question. I'm sorry. Not about the motion. I just wanted to know, who are the check signers?
I think I'll let CEO Richard or Matt respond to that. I know that we've had a change, Secretary Hansen, we've had a recent change in inclusion, and then we had removed an individual as well who no longer serves in their role. So, but I'll let either Matt or Matt respond to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, as per, I guess it would have been a PMC resolution that would have happened last term, later in last term. The current signers are Minister Friesen, President McCallum, CEO Richard Quintel, myself, and Director of Finance Echo Kin, and it's or Echo Chin, sorry, and it has to be any two, and so it's all dual signature based. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Friesen.
And just to add to that, thank you, Matt, for that explanation. Just to add to that, any two signers, and of course you can't sign off on your own reimbursement or your own travel claim. It's always signed by a different signer. So just so you know that we don't have any conflict there with bank signers. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, motion is passed. Thank you very much. We'll go to number 7.5 now. Locals Compliance Policy and Procedures. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan MNS recognizes the distinctiveness of Métis identity, culture, values, and language, inclusive of knowledge keepers, les vieux monde, the old ones or elders, youth, women, and distinctive resources, which is incorporated into proposals and decisions of the Provincial Meetis Council, PMC. Whereas, at their duly held meeting on April 19, 2024, the PMC recommended a process for locals to file certain documents that would provide evidence the locals were compliant with the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Constitution, Article 7, Section 6 and 9, with a filing deadline of September 30, 2024, PMC number 2404-19-03. Whereas PMC Resolution, PMC number 2404-19-03, required ratification by the Métis Nation Legislative Assembly, but this item has not been brought to the MNLA, and the filing deadline for locals of September 30, 2024, within the resolution is now passed. Whereas Article 7 of the Constitution contains administrative requirements for locals but does not specify the procedures by which locals may satisfy those requirements. Whereas, as we work towards the development of legislation relating to locals, these are the procedures that are necessary to verify the legitimacy of each local's representation in the MNLA. Whereas, the development of a local's compliance policy and procedures pertaining to how locals fulfill the requirements included in Article 7 of the Constitution requires research, analysis, and engagement. Therefore, be it resolved that the Provincial Meetis Council, PMC, directs the MNS to develop a policy and procedures that outline how locals will fulfill the following requirements included in Article 7 of the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan. 1. That each local submit the names of their elected leadership to the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan head office within 30 days of their election. Article 7(6)(a). That each local shall enact a constitution consistent with the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan and shall register such local constitution with the regional and head office of the MNS, Article 7(8), and 3, that locals shall provide yearly updates of their membership to the MNS regional and head office, separating those members who are under 16 years of age from those 16 and over, Article 7(9). Further be it resolved that the PMC directs the MNS engage with local councils, regional councils, and regional representatives in the development of a local's compliance policy and procedures to ensure that the draft policy and procedures support good governance and accountability in furtherance of MNS's transition to self-government. Further be it resolved that following engagement and policy review with local councils, regional councils, and regional representatives, the proposed locals compliance policy be presented to the PMC for an update within 6 months. dated this 19th day of August 2025, moved by Minister Beverly Fullerton, Western Region 2A, seconded by Minister Loretta King, Western Region 1. Minister Fullerton, still so move.
I still so move and would like to speak to this.
Thank you. Minister King, still so second.
I do, and I'd like to propose a friendly amendment.
Okay, do you want to speak to it first, Minister?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So bringing this resolution forward, coming in as a newly elected regional representative, one of the first things on the agenda within the region was making, supporting the locals to be in compliance as we were following the previous resolution submitted back in 2024. And following the process and working alongside with the policy and self-determination team, we did find that there were gaps and there were not clear understanding of the process that needs to be in place to make sure that, what documents needed and how this looked and who do we send it to. And so I just also want to share that this is an interim policy until such a Locals Act is passed. So this would just give guidance until that time. And yeah, so again, our region has worked diligently and hard and making sure that we're following the right process, and we're hoping that going forward that, we have some policy and procedures to follow.
Thank you, Minister. Minister King.
Hello. So on the, I don't know if it's an I, the first I, it says the locals submit the names of their elected leadership to the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan head office. I'd also like to include the regional office as well. And I think this is really important. We need to start working on succession plans throughout our locals and throughout the province, so this would be beneficial for all of us. Thank you.
Minister Fullerton, good with that?
I accept that, yes.
Okay. Yeah, right there. Good. Minister Friesen had comments.
Thank you, Chair. I support the resolution. I just have a question to the policy team. When the expectation is to enact a constitution and develop a constitution for each local, of course, it's in concert with MNS's constitution. And if the region has a constitution, of course, it's in concert with the region as well. Who's going to assist those locals to proceed with the work that is inclusive of developing a local constitution? So it's really important that if we're requesting co-development, we actually support the locals in that co-development to ensure that they are in compliance and that we can support this policy 100% across the board with every local that sits at the Legislative Assembly. Thanks.
Who is going to address?
Thank you, Chair. Our locals unit will support, be able to support the locals in doing this work, and that'll be a part of the process.
Secretary Hansen, then Minister Fullerton.
I would like to add just a friendly amendment because of the importance of making sure that we're working with the local and giving them the opportunity to, we haven't worked with the locals for a long time, so helping them along and making sure they have all their records and knowing what they need to run a really strong local, as we are aware that the locals are who we get our direction from. So I would like that to, instead of 6 months, I think if we could add it a year just to make sure we do get that work done. I'd like to go back now just to the oversight there, that committee for Michael with the locals. Was there an oversight committee for that?
We got to just speak to this resolution.
But this is kind of speaking to it because it talks about the locals.
Yeah, but it doesn't speak to the report. So.
Okay, I just wanted to know if there was an oversight committee, but Minister Friesen mentioned support, And I'm going to go back to the April 4th, 14th, 2019, a resolution that was passed where the secretary, I'll read it. The role of the Métis Nation Secretary, MNS Provincial Métis Council Secretary, may have been to interact with the MNS locals. Therefore, be it resolved that the MNS Secretary be allowed discretion with the pre-approval of the regional directors to assist with the locals as required. So I believe that is my mandate, to be working with the locals, and that's been given from the highest court at the MNLA as a resolution on April 14th, 2019. Thank you.
Okay, so are we going to go back? Is there any other questions that are outstanding? Mr. Friesen.
Thank you, Chair. Can I ask our team to pull up that resolution, please? I don't recall that resolution.
From 2019?
From 2019. I'm not saying that it's not there. I just would like to see it, number one. And number two is during the commission process, yes, the provincial secretary was involved in that, i.e. constitutional reform and the commission review. So that was an action item that was presented to the Provincial Meetis Council, and that we had agreed that would be an important role. However, I don't believe that it's an ongoing role. I might be wrong, so that's why I want to see the resolution. Thanks.
CEO can tell.
And also, I could be incorrect. I know we're bringing up that resolution, but that the lead for that work was the minister responsible for justice at the time. It currently still falls underneath that ministry, which is Minister Marasti. Also, that appointment, so what was the name of that? It wasn't minister, it was Associate Minister for Constitutional Reform. That was appointed by the President as per the Constitution, and was ratified by the Provincial Meetis Council, but that work for constitutional reform has been completed.
Okay, and they're still digging up that resolution. Minister Fullerton and Minister Marasti.
Thank you. I just want to clarify that the 6-month period on here is not a date for the locals to be in compliance. This is 6 months to have the policy and self-determination team come back to PMC with the recommended policy and procedures to assist locals to, go forward to become in compliance. That works with them. So we are not changing a date to be in compliance by within this resolution. And I also just want to highlight too, while we have the policy and self-determination team, one of the barriers, I guess not much of a barrier, but where the lack of information within the Constitution, where it says that each local shall enact a constitution, aligned with, or a bylaw. We need clarity on that, as well as although some locals do not have their own specific constitution to their local, they follow the MNS constitution, and then how are we making sure that if they do have their own constitution, that it is aligned with our MNS constitution. So some clarity around that is one of the reasons why we are requesting this as well. And so yeah, I'll speak just to those two items right now.
Thank you. Mr. Marasti.
Merci, and as the minister responsible, I welcome all my colleagues and citizens and throughout the homeland to engage. We had conversations, Provincial Secretary, and there again I did welcome you to have these conversations, and that door is always open as the minister responsible. Our team is available as well. Furthermore, to the resolution, I want to focus on Métis distinction. The last PMC meeting, we introduced that resolution, and I think it's very important that this government, as we transition and continue to build, we go back to our roots. We focus on Section 35 and not so much colonial and mainstream policies and procedures. We stick to the Métis distinction of identity, culture, values, language, our realities and communities across the homeland, whether it be in southern Saskatchewan, central, or northern. The Métis footprint is very important here in Saskatchewan. We have a footprint, we have a story, we have a history, and our elders can share that. They speak it, they live it, or have in most cases, but we have to continue to build the work and make sure that is interpreted in all our legislation and our policies, hence a couple resolutions coming forward later today. But I also ask that when we look at this policy, compliance policy, that you not forget those locals that were based off of a family structure, off a connection rooted to a land or a certain area of this homeland, and not specifically 9 people to make up a local. Keep that mindset available to you, openness, so that we can continue to build that strength, that strong foundation as a Métis Nation government. Even more, the title, locals, it's so union. It's not Métis. We need to consider changing that. I would ask that our team consider providing some suggestions or ideas as we build these policies going forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Minister Morasti. Any other questions, comments? Minister or Secretary Hansen.
Thank you, Minister Morasti, for your words in regards to working with the locals and the importance of creating strong locals. And as you mentioned, we go back, and we go back far. And a lot of our locals, we have never had the opportunity. I hear President McCollum speak and say, you know, we're moving forward, we're doing good. You know, we have more finances than we've ever had, and yet our locals are really poor still today. I think that we need to be able to take the time, and this is a real opportunity to follow through with the MNLA, the highest court. It's the highest court. We need to be able to work with the locals. We need to take the time. We need to give them that opportunity. They've never really had an opportunity to build. We have a report. I don't know who the oversight was, and we didn't even know that that was ever passed here. There's discussion on it. There's, you know, saying there's pulled out things now. Who's that oversight? I'd like to know that. I've been elected. My platform was to work with the locals, to help the locals to build strong locals, and I would like us to be able to make sure that we follow the resolution from the MNLA, April 14th, 2019, where the Secretary is out there working along with the regional representatives and the locals. And if we do need a year to make sure that we are distinction, then we take that year. We don't just put it for 6 months. I think we take the time to do the real hard work that has to be done with the locals. It's time.
Thanks, Secretary. President McCallum, then CEO Cantel, then Minister Friesen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 12 years I've been here, like I said in my opening remarks, in regards to this idea of building a government with governance. Yes, we struggle. We've identified within the last 8 years in regards to where our weaknesses are, one of them being locals. We had a commission that didn't produce any information that helped us in regards to how we can better support the locals. Not that we don't hear from the regional directors and the local presidents in regards to what they would like to see. When we're building a government, when we are continuing to build a government and governance within the last 8 years, we have these grand ideas that we should be somewhere, but it takes a lot of hard work to be able to get there. It seems like sometimes we disregard in regards to the hard work that we've done to be able to have trust from our people, trust from the area directors and the locals, but we've spent money where we thought would yield the information that we needed to be able to qualify or have a plan to be able to work with locals. That didn't happen. So we do make mistakes. But at the same time, in saying that, when I mentioned we have a lot of capacity coming in, if we were to break down from your ministries in regards to what you get from those capacities I talk about, some of it is earmarked mostly for the representation you have on economic development, education, health, and the list goes on. It's not a bundle of money that we can easily break up to be able to address some of the issues that are urgent. And I appreciate, in regards to the resolutions that are entertained today and hopefully supported, to be able to continue as much as we can to do the hard work and to be able to finally find resolve in regards to how we deal with our locals, but more importantly, in regards to finding capacity. But if we sit here in disregard in regards to how much work we do, then all of a sudden it takes away again the respect and understanding that needs to go along with having a government in regards to how money is spent. So I look forward to that discussion. I'm supportive of this resolution in regards to the 6 months, and to be able to have formalize an idea in regards to how we're going to address this. Only then can the finance minister and our team recognize, not that it hasn't been important, it's always important, but to be able to find the extra resources that we need. You know, I look at Leonard in his region in regards to thinking outside the box and initiating efforts to be able to negotiate with NextGen, to be able to work 4.5 years of negotiations. And I look at Minister Morasti in regards to what they've done with Denison Mines. There's a big announcement that'll be coming out pretty soon. I need that effort to be done by the area director sitting around here. I come from a community where we negotiated, the first deal we negotiated was $70 million, and I'm not sure what we negotiated the last couple of years. I haven't been part of the community because I'm here, but I know it is a good deal. To continue supporting our preschool, daycare, childcare, wellness centers, SIR, RCMP, elders, gatherings, harvesting gatherings, and stuff like that, where I come from. I would like to see that. That's why I said that the people that have gone to the ballot box to vote for you expect results. But at the same time, high expectations are sometimes put on your lap. And you have to be aware that your government, our government, only can do so much. The sooner that we can engage, as the minister responsible for economic development, I would like to have meetings in each region. I would like to discuss in regards to what research we can do. We have a war chest to be able to support you. We have negotiators and good negotiators, and you can see the results of what has happened. Eastern Region 3 is now been on that negotiating their interest within their territory on wind power. And so there's a lot of other things that we're dealing with, the pipeline. There's Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, 39 leaders sitting together to be able to negotiate a turnkey operation project where the federal government is really looking at big projects that complements and benefits the majority of our people in the West. So those are some of the ideas that we have to move forward to. But to be stuck in an area where we're going to find the solutions, no. 6 months, yes. Within the next 6 months, if we had the commissioner come up with the results of what we wanted, is to be able to address the needs of our locals, but more importantly, in regards to what areas can we prioritize to be able to quicken the pace, so to speak, in regards to finding capacity. But this resolution, I fully 100% support to be able to start that conversation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. CEO Cantel.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank the team for bringing up the past resolution from 2019. And I think, Council, it might be helpful if you could provide some clarity to the Provincial Secretary. I'd like to read the resolution. It was moved by Joe Degno and seconded by Malvina Goulet. Whereas the role of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Provincial Secretary may have been to interact with the M&S locals. It does not say is to interact or shall, it says may, as it is, the Constitution is silent and past practices is what people keep referencing. So it says may have been to. Then it says, therefore be it resolved that the M&S Secretary be allowed discretion with the pre-approval of regional directors to assist locals as required. I think it might just be a simple process, Chair, to have the regional directors provide clarity to the Provincial Secretary whether or not they would like that role to be played out in the regions supporting locals. I think it's quite clear. They can just tell the individual.
Absolutely. I think that would be a great conversation for you folks to have on your, because we're getting away from our motion here. It'd be a great conversation for you folks to have on your government days, clarifying roles, responsibilities, how we help and lift each other up. Okay? Can we leave it at that? Question is called on the motion. Thank you, Minister. Question is called. That would have been in your third comment as well. Conversations to be had regarding those roles at your government meeting. So all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Okay, so thank you. Number 7.6, State of Emergency on Drugs, Gangs, and Violence in Northern Region 3. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan M&S recognizes the distinctiveness of Métis identity, culture, values, and language, inclusive of knowledge keepers, Katayak, Le Vieux Monde, the old ones or elders, youth, women, and distinctive resources, which is incorporated into proposals and decisions of the Provincial Meetis Council, PMC. Whereas the Métis within Saskatchewan are rooted in their distinctiveness, including identity, culture, values, and language. Whereas the continuing legacy of colonization and injustices against Indigenous peoples of Canada has led to a crisis driven by the widespread use of drugs, resulting in gangs and violence in Northern Region 3, NR3, fracturing our connectedness to our communities and to the land. Whereas the crisis in NR3 has fueled a rise in violence that erodes the safety of Métis communities and our traditional ways of life. Whereas the crisis disproportionately affects the most vulnerable in our communities, including women, children, youth, and Katayak. Whereas the impact of drugs, gangs, and violence in Northern Region 3 has strained community resources, including healthcare, law enforcement, and social services, and requires urgent action. Whereas NR3 and Métis Nation-Saskatchewan is committed to working with other governments and partners to establish culturally grounded and collaborative interventions that restore connectedness and well-being within our communities. Whereas declaring a state of emergency in NR3 will empower NR3 and Métis Nation-Saskatchewan to call on other governments, access key resources, and ultimately build collaborative solutions in ways that honor our inherent rights to self-government and self-determination. Therefore, be it resolved that the Provincial Meetis Council, PMC, hereby declares a state of emergency on drugs, gangs, and violence in NR3 effective August 19, 2025. Therefore, be it resolved that the Provincial Meetis Council directs the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan to engage with provincial and federal governments to secure additional funding and resources to support community-led initiatives, such as the NR3 Justice Partnership Pilot Project that reflect Métis values and respects Métis distinctiveness, including identity, culture, language, and values. And further, be it resolved that the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan calls on the provincial and federal government to respond to NR3, outlining their recognition and affirming their commitment to working with affected communities, including the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan, regions, and locals, to create collaborative, culturally grounded solutions that respect Métis distinctiveness. Moved by Minister Brennan Morasti, Northern Region 3, seconded by Leonard Montgrand, Northern Region 2. Minister Morasti, still so move?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I would like to speak to it if I can.
Thank you. Minister Montgrand, still so move? Or second? Thank you. Minister Morasti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to my colleagues for allowing this resolution to be read into our PMC meeting here today. Through lived experience, I will say this out loud and louder out beyond these borders of this meeting room. Institutional concepts will not heal our people. They will not. I've lived it, I've experienced it, many of us around this table have, and it just hasn't worked. It is time to break the cycles that society expects us to fall under, and it is time to do something unique and different and focus more on who we are as a people based on our experiences from residential school and the alcoholism, the violence, and now the drugs that it has brought into our homes and our communities. I strongly believe that drugs, gangs, and violence is a pandemic in itself. And yes, although this motion does speak to Northern Region 3, we realize it is happening across the board in our homeland of Saskatchewan and beyond. So it is not specifically to NR3. We realize it is across the board, but it is time we quit talking about it and deal with this pandemic in itself. And let's take action by bringing safety to our homes and doing something different to break the cycles that our people have lived for generations, for decades. We need to focus on healing that establishes a groundedness, because the 30-day programs don't work. You barely get in a mindset to understand what you're going through. You barely get in a headspace to even consider digging deep into what you are avoiding and trying to cope against. You barely get into a headspace or a groundedness to consider what life is challenging you with every day. Because just because I'm sober 3.5 years or so today doesn't mean, thank you. It doesn't mean life stops coming at you. And life has no manual, so who's going to do it for us? We have to take ownership of ourselves and of our lives, and we have to take the good, the bad, and the ugly from everything around us and interpret it to what fits in our space. And this is the conversation that I continue to have with my daughters, who were almost led astray because of my disconnection of who I am as a person and as a father. So it is very important that we take action, and it is why I chose to run for Northern Region 3. Not because I want to be personal or attack anybody, but because I want to do something different. And sometimes you have to get in an elected position to be in this space, to be heard. And now I am here based on 25 years of lived experience with drugs, with gangs and violence, manipulation, and everything that addiction brings to you. 90 meetings in 90 days is a bullshit concept. It is bullshit. It doesn't work. We have to take ownership of our lives ourselves, and we do that by finding our roots, connecting with our spirit, and that's what I did differently. That's why everything outside of my space does not affect me, because I am now in control of who I am. Nihki, my being. I put the work in. I went through a wedding this past Saturday, and I was questioned, did you drink? No. Thank you. But I didn't drink. I didn't crave. I didn't fret. I didn't freak out. I celebrated. I enjoyed my family and friends, and we had a great time. But I didn't walk on edge. I lived it, I experienced it, and I enjoyed every damn moment of it. So family, friends, in this room, online, I ask you to support the state of emergency on drugs, gangs, and violence, and the leadership of our Métis Nation-Saskatchewan government to take ownership of our people, our communities, our lives, and let's do something different for our family and friends, our kids, for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Lefty, President Langen, then Minister Fullerton.
First of all, when I got to the very last bit of the resolution where it said, further be it resolved that the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan calls on the provincial and federal government to respond to NR3, outlining the recognition and affirming their commitment to working with affected communities, including, and this is the part that really touched me, is no one was being left out when it's made, the regions and locals to create collaboratively, because as we all know, The drugs are everywhere. It's killing our young people. We've lost so many people back home because of overdoses and drugs and everything else. So I was really, really happy to see that the regions and locals throughout the whole province are being included in this. And I support this 100%. And thank you for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Minister Fullerton.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Minister Morasti, for always sharing your vulnerability and the truth to which many of us have experienced and many of our citizens are still experiencing. Reading this, and I support the state of emergency, and I also want to highlight, and not taking from your community at all, but it is a provincial-wide epidemic. Within every community, we are facing drugs, addictions, gangs, violence, homelessness. And yes, as a Métis Nation, we have an opportunity to look at each community, distinctively and specific to that community. And so when we look at, as Minister of Health, Mental Health and Addictions, I encourage you and the rest of my colleagues, when there are issues arising, when there's questionable programs that are not being delivered by Métis Nation that we would like to either challenge or change, to collaborate with me. It is my responsibility within this ministerial portfolio to help find those dollars, to work, again, collaboratively, to find solutions and to make sure that they are effective and we are not finding Band-Aid solutions or duplicating services that are already in communities or replicating programs and services that are failing our people. So when we address these issues, they are dire. We have our citizens, our family, our allies, our kin dying every day. It breaks my heart when I see reports being shared. The reality is we have 90% of our Indigenous people filling those spaces that are incarcerated. We have many of them that are from the north. We have folks that are being stranded in the urban centers and becoming homeless. And so this is an epidemic across the province. And so I am giving my commitment to work within my ministry and the staff in looking at ways that we can address these issues distinctively and that are sustainable. One of the other things I do not want for us to do is set our citizens up for failure or rush into a program or service that we cannot commit to making sure that it is ongoing. So we have the right people at the table. You have my support. I want to continue this conversation after this and address it immediately. I do believe, speaking with, when Matt was acting CEO last week, mental health and addictions, we have ways to get creative right now and address these issues and deliver to our citizens and our communities directly. I'm looking forward to having that conversation with my colleagues. And again, the importance of interministerial work amongst each other. You know, we can come together as ministers and access the different resources, utilize each other to find the networking. I'm connected with folks that maybe, Minister Montgrand isn't, and like sharing these networks and sharing these, I know I'm past my 2 minutes, just really wanting to highlight that I do support the state of emergency, and I do honestly believe that it is provincial-wide. And Minister Morasti, I do want to just affirm that I'm right here. As soon as this is done today, let's get to work. We'll make something happen. We'll find funding. Our citizens are worthy and they deserve better than what they have right now.
Thank you, Minister. Minister Carrier.
Good morning. I am in support of this motion. As many years being within the Métis Nation as regional director within my region, there's several encounters that I have tried to resolve with the communities within my region, and I see it throughout the north. I see it with discussions with other leaders that when we connect in either SUMA or different leadership forums, that this is a very hard situation that each community is facing, is the epidemic of violence, drugs, and gangs, and there's seem to be more and more of this behavior and this occurring within the communities. And a lot of the communities, especially in the north, they're feeling the struggle and not seeing a way out with a lot of the policies and procedures that are in place, especially with harm reduction. And there's no way for citizens to be placed into a harm reduction site without their consent, where those policies are not there for the citizens and families to try to get their parent or their family into treatment. Now, parents are struggling, children are struggling with trying to get somebody into treatment, and they can't because there's policies in place that block that from happening. And I think, you know, having a declaration, not just specific to Northern Region 3, I think the whole North or the whole province needs to be on this motion where it makes it more powerful to the province, to the federal government, that, you know, we have an epidemic in the Saskatchewan. It's not just focused on Northern Region 3, but all of Saskatchewan. So I don't know if we could do that friendly amendment where it states, you know, that there's great need in all of Saskatchewan, especially in the north. Thank you.
Minister Morasti.
I so agree, and for the reason that this motion was written strategically for NR3, but with the hopes that our colleagues would speak as a provincial body. So I appreciate your words, Minister, and I so agree that we can adjust the resolution to include the province-wide. Thank you.
So that would be in the first whereas, correct? And anytime we have NR3, it would be province-wide?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Leonard?
Can we put Métis homeland in Saskatchewan or something like that instead of province-wide?
Okay, and Minister Moncran, are you okay with that? Okay. So our fantastic technicians over there will have to find and replace Northern Region 3 with Métis homeland, Saskatchewan Métis homeland. Okay. While they're doing that, President McCallum was on the list. And just folks, we have about 5 minutes left till lunch. We'll have this discussion till lunch. Hopefully we can have it wrapped up for lunch, and then we have one motion after lunch and then into the updates. So, President McCallum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be short. All of us sitting around this table know and realize and understand the importance of having a plan moving forward in the resolution that puts everybody in the same page to be able to come up with a plan in regards to where we're heading. I know that we have had very good conversations with the federal government, the provincial government, the marshals coming in. We had a very good meeting with them for about an hour in Prince Albert to talk about how can we complement. And I talked to the Premier about it in regards to the engagements that's important in regards to how the marshals are going to react to things that are going on. But if you don't have the involvement of the Métis, how effective are you going to be just forming another organization or another entity? So for me, state of emergency, I know that the First Nations communities have to declare state of emergency before they get federal support on the gang issues, the alcohol, the drugs, and everything that's going on in their communities. This resolution will support our government, and we will send it out right away to the province and the federal government to be able to trigger a meeting right away, because the conversations we've had actually before the election, we did talk to the RCMP, and they did find a pot of money to be able to have a pilot project in the north for Isla Cross, Beauval, and Pine House. But again, hearing your conversation, we do have to start somewhere, but at the same time, we're not neglecting North Central and South and Central. The way that it can be written, is to encompass all of our province within our homeland, so that we can, as the minister responsible for that file, you can begin to put the plan in place, begin that conversation in regards to the importance of why we say it's a state of emergency. And it's always been that way. It's just that we haven't responded. You know, there's so much success in the communities where people have taken initiative to be able to develop their own programs, like where I come from. You know, I'm not immune to the situations that we all face. One of my nieces are on the streets here in Saskatoon as we speak. One of my sons is on the tent city in Pine House as we speak. And there was 9 people arrested in Regina through the evacuation from my hometown. So does it affect a lot of people? Absolutely. Our emergency response team, they have to deal with our people that are coming into the cities that are still addicted to alcoholism and drugs. So the sooner that we can get this off the table to be able to connect with the right departments at federally and provincially, the sooner we're going to get to the point of where we should be. And it's not lack of trying. That this government has really tried hard. And that's one of the number one things that I've always talked about is distinction-based focused planning and delivery systems. And we have to have, and you're absolutely right, Minister Morasti, in regards to the system. We're not downplaying or being negative towards what the province or the federal government has tried. It's up to us now, as we sit around this table, to be able to plan out a process and a plan in regards to what fits our communities and our people. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Minister Morasti, then Minister Fullerton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, President McCollum. It is working alongside you that this resolution comes to fruition for all those years. So I appreciate you opening the doors and the opportunities to bring this forward. I also want to state that as per Minister Carrier, and no disrespect to anybody across the homeland, but the North does lack resources. We do not have access within arm's reach. So I would like the whereas clause to be included that, specifically to the North in some sense or to that regard, because we do have to keep in mind that the North is isolated from the resources available for addictions, counseling, and so on and so forth. So if we can do that, I'm good. And in the Saskatchewan Métis homeland just doesn't sit well. It's got to have a better ring to it, but something rooted in who we are, please. Thank you.
Okay, so we still have 3 folks on the speakers list, and they're going to have to keep amending. So, Minister Fullerton, please keep it concise.
I'm going to keep this very short, and it's going to be wordy, but I really do think it's important that within this resolution, we specifically state NR1, NR2, NR3. It makes it more powerful, and it makes it very specific. So it might make it a bit longer, but I would like to have each region individually included in this resolution.
Are you comfortable with that? Yes, sir. Mr. Mongrand? Okay. So there's going to be some work to do over lunch there, unfortunately. Mr. Hanson? Or, sorry, Secretary.
I would just want to thank Minister Morasti for bringing this forward, and it's definitely something that we have to address and be addressed now, because it's time to take what we've learned and help the people that are hurting and in pain move forward. I like the idea of it reflecting the province as a whole across the board. And I really appreciate Northern Region 1, 2, and 3 specifically being in there, because it makes it stronger. Thank you.
Mr. Friesen and Mr. Carrier.
Thank you, Chair. I am in support of the resolution as amended. I just wanted to make a comment and more so a reminder that our provincial partners with the Government of Saskatchewan had implemented a piece of legislation last year, the Compassionate Intervention Act, and it was passed in the legislative body, it's not in keeping with our distinction as Métis people. We had not been consulted prior to that act being implemented, so it's really important that we revisit the act so that we could, i.e., be included and also respond to it, because this is what Minister Carrier is referring to, is forced treatment. And so I know that it is a strategy to reduce the pressure on the justice system with the province of Saskatchewan. However, it's not helpful to people who are experiencing and are on that journey, i.e. either in recovery or attempted recovery, or also on the path of figuring out their life. We know our people. We have mental health and addiction services here that have had a long-standing rapport with the government of Saskatchewan, with Maxi, and soon to be our new Healing Lodge. So I think that we need to revisit, and I agree with President McCallum that, you know, we do have to be in alignment. However, we need to address it in a way that is going to support our citizens and not exclude us. Marcy.
Thank you. Minister Carrier, last comment, then we'll break for lunch.
I just want to add, just to affirm what Minister Morasti has mentioned, that, you know, coming from northern communities, we have a harder time to come down to actually do treatment and you know, seek. There's some instances where you have to travel over 7 hours to go to a site to actually do that. So that's in regards to how hard it is for northern regions, not just specific to the northern regions 1, 2, and 3, but also Eastern Region 1, because I have communities that we have to come down to actually do treatment in southern Saskatchewan, and that's pretty hard for people to do. So that's something I want as a friendly amendment to add Eastern Region 1 as well.
Okay, it's on there. Okay, so folks, we're gonna, Minister Fullerton.
One last one. I also just want to remind my colleagues that the email that I sent out to everybody to reach out to me so we can speak specifically to your regions and what those ideas look like. What are the gaps? What's working? What's not working? So sorry for taking that last moment, but just, yeah, we got work to do.
Okay, we will now take a lunch break until 1 o'clock, and that means that we're at our seats at 12:55. And we're going to finish this off, and they're going to finish the wording, and away we go. And now our Kateak or our Leviumon are going to give us a blessing for lunch.